Well, good day and welcome to the Adult Education and Workforce Development Statewide webinar for December 13th, 2023. I am Jerry Hafner, and joining me today are some special guests and, of course, the Adult Education team. Let's begin with a remarkable journey and a remarkable success story. Dustin Doyle took on his way to Washington Township Adult Education here on the north side of Indianapolis. Here are some excerpts from what we are calling A Life Nearly Lost by Dustin Doyle. Most of my life, I had not taken school seriously. I was expelled from three separate high schools for fighting. I never had the drive to excel, nor did I have anyone who would push me to excel. Growing up, I suffered abuse from someone I trusted. Because of the pain from the abuse, I immersed myself in drugs and stopped caring about schoolwork altogether. My life spiraled out of control, and drugs and gangs were all I cared about. No one could reach me. My grandmother, however, was my rock and anchor. She encouraged me by saying, "You can do it. You are smart. It will look better tomorrow." These might seem like small encouragements, but to me, they were gold. These past few years have also been especially tough for me and my family. I was close to death after going into septic shock from complications following an emergency surgery. I wasn't expected to live. My family stood by me and helped me recover. With having a close brush with death, I realized the value of life and that tomorrow is never promised. On my first day of class at Washington Township Adult Education, my teacher, Miss Gwynn, greeted me with excitement. She explained the high set, and we developed a game plan with our end date in sight. The amount of attention she gives to every student is immeasurable, and her guidance continues to still uplift and encourage every student she helps. As a side note, Dustin passed all sections of the high school equivalency but math. He returned and took math 2 more times, but with the same result. Normally, I would have to wait till January to come back, Dustin said, since I had used up my high set attempts. But this year, of all years, I got the chance to take the GED test and combine my passing scores. On the following Tuesday, I decided to give it one more try. Miss Gwen helped me in class. My wife Lisa sat by my side most of the weekend, helping me to study. I pushed through the test and did my best, and was so surprised to see my passing score of 146. 145 is passing. I couldn't believe it. There it was in black and white in front of me. I passed the math and achieved my high school diploma. And because of this, I now can pursue my dream of attending a liberal arts college. I'm still researching schools, and I know Miss Gwen will help with that as well. What a remarkable story. Thank you, Dustin, and thank you, Washington Township Adult Education, for allowing us to share excerpts of his writing about his journey to adult education, his journey to success, and his journey forward as he looks at new colleges, looks at colleges, and a career after this. Now let's turn to state data for program year 2023, the year that we're currently in. Look at some of these statistics. Enrollment is up by 2,259 students, a 18.6% increase when compared to the same time a year ago. nearly a 19% increase from last year. And look at this, measurable skill gains are up by a whopping 4.88%, and HSEs are up by more than 250. I can only say that the first half of this program year has truly been amazing. So thank you. Turning to JAG and Youth Adult Services, Bart is here with updates. Welcome, Bart.
All right, thank you.
Sorry,
All righty,
bro.
next slide. That's no worries. All right, I want to begin with some JAG expansion updates. There'll be 23 new programs beginning in January all across Indiana. We definitely have some different models that are coming on either next semester or the following semester, including virtual schools, which we haven't talked a lot about previously in JAG, and middle schools. And we're going to continue to expand our college model, our 9th and 10th grade model. So a lot of good things going on in a lot of different areas. So if you've never thought of JAG as a program that might fit an organization that you're partnered with, whether it's a college or a middle school or even, a virtual school, we are trying to serve any and all kiddos that we can. Um, So see, if you know somebody in some of these areas that might be interested in working with youth and working in a school and being part of the JAG family, check out, we post a lot of our jobs on our social media platforms. We have jobs just about every region. So whether it's, somebody personally or just somebody looking for a new challenge that wants to work with youth, certainly if you don't see them, reach out to me and I'm glad to put you in contact with where those job postings are. As we mentioned at the last meeting, we have some new DWD staff joining, and you might see them out in your regions or you'll see them at some JAG events. But we're really thrilled to announce that we have 3 new field support managers. Cherish Schaefer will be covering regions 1 through 4. She comes from Region 1 as a JAG manager. Elizabeth Via, and she started this week. Elizabeth Via Smith will cover regions 5, 6, 7, and 12, that central belt. She will start on the 27th of December. And Jennifer Robinson will start at the turn of the new year. She will cover the southern regions 8, 9, 10, and 11. So if you see them out and about, or you see them on emails, or you see them at events, certainly welcome them. We're thrilled to have them, and we know they'll hit their ground running. Elizabeth was the JAG manager in Region 12, and Jennifer was the JAG manager in Region 8. And we have a statewide training coordinator who's traversing the state now, even though he doesn't start until the 27th himself. His name's Derek Morgan. He is the coordinator in Region 8. Or that's what he is now, and when he departs, he'll be part of the JAG staff. So please welcome them when you see them. We're thrilled to be able to expand our team because it's kind of crucial to have more than 4 people as we expand programming. Um, oh, there you go. I just want to talk a little bit about the National Student Leadership Academy. We had several JAG students from across the state go and down to Washington, D.C. and participate, where kind of all the students flex their leadership muscles a little bit, get to network with not only each other and JAG leadership, but also, as you'll see here in the next slide, you don't have to click it yet, but there's a JAG Day on the Hill where they meet with legislators and kind of talk about JAG programming and anything else that they might have a passion for. It's always a very meaningful experience for our JAG students, and we're glad to have some great kiddos represent Indiana. The last link down there is to our regional career development conference schedule. Our adult ed partners have always been super amazing in supporting our career development conferences. If you've never been to one, they're a hoot. It's a great opportunity to see our JAG kiddos competing for prizes, certainly, but flexing their employability skills. And then the state event is March 15th of 2024. Next slide. Alrighty, so as you can see right there, there's one of our two of our students from Region 9 meeting with Representative Erin Houchin, who covers that area down there, and she let them into her office, and they got to talk about JAG and all the things that they're doing. So we appreciate the support that our legislators have given JAG, certainly locally, especially, and even at that level. So a couple other youth updates I want to jump to. the governor's work ethic certificate, GWEC, as you'll hear it. There's a promotional video that will be out hopefully December of 2023. Well, actually, there's two of them. This will target one for students to get them interested in the program, and there will be another one specifically for employers to help them understand why these young people are cream of the crop in terms of hiring. So take a look for that. Certainly, we'll share it out when we get it with adult ed leadership, and please pass those along to those who might be interested. An update from the Youth Justice Oversight Committee that could impact some of your folks. Coming out of that, it was passed that all young people that are in the incarceration system, the correctional system, will be required to meet with a Work One case manager. I know we had talked about this in the past as a possibility, but it's now written in. They can do it virtually, but it's just another kind of warm handoff for those kiddos, because a lot of them are going into situations where they don't have a parachute wherever they're going. They could be going to a home that doesn't want them back. They could be going to an area where they don't have contacts. And they're just going to fall back into the same sort of circle. And this is intended to at least sort of give them that one meeting to get with somebody that can be an additional support to them. The last thing I have is some JAG and Ivy Tech partnership updates. Super thrilled to announce that Ivy Tech is sponsoring our career development conference again. We've talked to them a lot about JAG expansion, and there will very, very likely be some Ivy Tech campuses that come on with JAG programs. We have a lot of meetings with them to sort of see which campuses might be the best, and we'll share those when we have them. And also, we're looking at JAG being a dual credit opportunity in certain pilot areas, because the Ivy Tech College and Career IVY 101 course, the content is being taught in JAG, and if there's an opportunity to have a dual credit opportunity for those young people, certainly want to do that as well. Next slide. Yep. And then kind of to piggyback off of what you just saw, we also had two students in Region 1, Ronald and Tyrell, meet with Representative Frank Mervan. And he actually got called in to vote on something, apparently while the students were meeting with him. So he gave him special assembly passes to watch the House do business. He's been pretty active on social media promoting JAG as well. So we do thank our legislators, and certainly that unique experience for those kiddos who said that it was kind of a once in a lifetime type of thing. So any questions, just please feel free to reach out as always, or if you want to go to a CDC, please feel free to reach out and we'll put you in contact with the JAG staff that would be the ones putting it on. So thank you. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks so much, Bart. Well, we have a very special guest today. Special guest is from Wingspans, and it's Lindsay, and she's here to talk about a platform that uses storytelling to help adult learners increase self-awareness, career knowledge, and work readiness skills. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me. And so it's so nice to be here. I'm Lindsay Kuhn, the founder of Wingspans, a platform that levels the career opportunity playing field through storytelling and AI. And I'm calling in from Rhode Island, but somebody on my team is from Fishers, Indiana. And I also just wanted to say a shout out to Samantha Smith from the Center of Workforce Innovations, who made a few really critical introductions that led me here. New slide. So I just want to give you to start some background on why I created Wingspans. I'm an engineer. I was one of 3 women in my mechanical engineering class in college, one of the only women engineers at Boeing, where I designed satellites and spacecraft. And then I was one of the only PhD students in my engineering program. And that's me in the clean room as a PhD student in engineering. When I was a PhD student in engineering, there were no women professors in my department. And all of this just to say that I know more than anyone that career exploration is an equity issue, and representation and really having people who look like you and to model what is possible matters. New slide, please. So we recently had the privilege of being part of the Future Finder Challenge, which was, if you're not familiar with it, it's a competition to reimagine career navigation for adult learners. And we spent most of the year reshaping our platform to be more accessible and engaging for the 103 million adults in the US that you're all working with that are experiencing these barriers to employment and upskilling opportunities. Next slide, please. So during this time, I just want to say that this population really captured our hearts, and our mission is to help adult learners end up in a job that has a living wage. We know, so we have industry partners, and we know that through our work with industry, that with the right training and the right knowledge, there are a lot of job opportunities that await them. And I have this $162 billion here because the US is currently experiencing a serious talent shortage, and this is the revenue loss due to talent shortage in tech alone, projected by 2030. Next slide, please. So Wingspans aims to bridge this gap through story. It's based on the idea that stories have the power to shift and shape how adult learners think about themselves and what they think is possible. We're all about success stories, like Jerry started today. The site has about 700 stories about work, which are really the center of everything on the site, including a personality assessment, shareable portfolio, career planning tools, resume builder, and work readiness activities that are integrated into a lot of first year experience courses. And we're also, like at Ivy Tech, we do have a partnership with Ivy Tech that's just getting off the ground. Next slide, please. So this is, we know that our approach works. This is a quote about a study that says there was a statistically significant increase in career aspirations in electrical related fields after students engage in a story about the field. And I think part of it's actually missing. So it's supposed to say in 2021, a study reported a statistically significant increase in career aspirations in electrical related fields after students heard engaged in a story about the field. So the most important part, it was highlighted, but somehow it's gone. So that's what it's supposed to say. So next slide. So I'm going to take you through Julie's story and how she used Wingspans at the Rhode Island Regional Adult Learning Center. Julie actually joined us at the Future Finder Challenge in DC, joined us on stage. And so she used it at Riral. Next slide. And at Riral, she took a personality assessment. The personality assessment is based on the Holland Code, but as you can see, each question is tied to one person's story, so it's very human-centered. Next slide. And through the personality assessment, she stumbled upon Maria, who's in animal sciences. This is a screenshot or a GIF of one of our profiles. We go into a lot of depth when we interview people. So our team curates all the stories about work. And right now it's just playing every story. So we have videos and then also written narratives, but even the written narratives have an audio piece. Next slide. I was hoping to show you one of our newest stories about Alexis, who is a metal finisher at Mar. But I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna put a link to this. I heard that's not a good idea over Microsoft Teams. So instead, I'm gonna just throw a link to this video in the chat, and I hope that you. It's a 2-minute video. You can kind of understand what our storytelling approach is like. We try to understand, who is the person, what do they do for work, of course, but also who is the person. Next slide. So in addition to Alexis was part of a company, so she works at Mar, and so Julie explored a lot of stories and opportunities at local employers, which were humanized through the storytelling. Next slide. We have career planning tools. So she made a career plan instructed by the stories on Wingspans. Next slide. And once she had this tangible end goal, she was more motivated and put her plans into action. Next slide. We currently have partnerships with 40 plus community colleges, including Ivy Tech, plus workforce and adult ed organizations. And when we partner with an organization, we tell their success stories. So we do tailor the site to make it very local and relatable. Next slide. So I was only able to go through a few of the features. We have so much more on the site, including a resume builder and goal planning, goal setting tools. So I would love to show you more. If you're interested, please get in touch. My email is right there. I'll also throw that in the Slack, or not in the Slack, in the chat. Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you so much. Way to go. Great resource that you share with us. Awesome. Awesome. Way to go on that. Hey, everybody. Rob Moore here. I am with the Department of Workforce Development's contracted employee for through our association for directors, professional learning, and let you know that I've been meeting our new program directors this month around the state, and also some not so new directors. As I usually do. So even if you are a not so new director and would like to shake out some ideas with someone like a guy like me who's sort of been there, please feel free to contact me. This service is free of charge to you. Thanks to funding from DWD Adult Education to our state association, IAACE. So I'll give you an idea of some things I've worked with recently. Our new and not so new directors on this past month have been things like adult education curriculum has come up a few times. Inter's data entry and getting that cleaned up for December 31st. IET and WEI ideas, and of course, the grant. In addition, the December issue of Monthly Minders for new administrators was emailed to our new directors on December 1st, but it's available to everyone on the IAACE website, listed there on the screen. This publication that I do, hopefully it helps by listing some of the meetings and tasks that I've discovered that's helpful for program administration. For example, are you looking for an idea to reward your existing students and generate some media coverage to increase enrollments? You might want to check out that December issue and you'll find an idea along those lines. Finally, I'd like to welcome a new program administrator to our fold. Deanne Allendale recently joined the Bartholomew Consolidated School Corporation in Columbus as at McDowell Education Center as the adult education coordinator there. Have you met her yet, Jerry? He has. She's just good dynamite. I tell you, I met her twice and going to be fantastic. Dan, how welcome you are. We're glad to have you with us. Next slide. Okay. Kind of on the topic of teaching an old dog some new tricks. There's a couple dogs, by the way. I dog sit now and then. As I get to work with our new and not so new directors around the state, I frequently learn a lot of good resources and ideas that they have that I think, man, I wish I'd have had when I was a local program director for those years. So here's a few that I picked up this month, and they're so outstanding. I really had to really share these with you this month. So I was in Plymouth recently visiting with Jason Rivich, our director there. And you might want to pay attention to this, Roy. This is right up your alley. He was awarded a manufacturing mini grant called the INMAC grant from Purdue University, kind of a seed grant to facilitate development of some manufacturing partnerships with employees. So in our language, it'd be kind of IETs and WIs. So you can check out that webpage I've listed. I'm going to try to drop these in the chat, by the way. See if I can do that. Yeah, there we go. That'll also be when you get the slides, you can go back on there too. But if you're interested in a program like that, that'll give you a little seed money for that. You might want to check out that website. I noticed I went on the other day and it's closed for receiving new interest, but there's some email links on there that you can research and email the people in charge of that to express interest. So way to go, Jason. Great job on that. I know it's going to be successful. Jason, I tell you what's really got it going on there in Plymouth. I want to tell you that. Okay, now I was also in Clinton County a few weeks ago, and the site coordinator there, Abby Martin, shared some resources she found from our adult education colleagues in Illinois. So in Illinois, adult education is under the community college system. So the Illinois Community College Board has some ABE curriculum for various NRS levels, really tailored to those NRS levels by subject and by NRS level. So you can check that out. They've also on that last website there has some IET and career coaching resources for the integrated career and academic program system that they have. So check that out. So thank you, Abby and Melinda, the director there. Awesome job finding those resources. Thanks for sharing those with me because now we can all benefit from your wisdom. Jerry?
Hello, everyone. It's good to be with you. Let's look at our next slide, please. We have been asking everybody to turn in a wait list each month for the previous month's numbers. These wait lists should include the number of persons that you cannot serve at this time due to a lack of funding, space, or staff. The wait list is not the same as when you have a class scheduled the next month and they're simply waiting for that time to come around. It's basically if a student is waiting for services and you have no idea if or when you will be able to provide them due to some of the reasons that are listed on the slide. And this allows us to demonstrate in current real time what the need for adult ed services are throughout the state. So please make sure that you keep getting those into us. Next slide. And we'll probably hear a little bit more about HSE fees in a few minutes, but for something that might ease your mind is that there are additional funds that will be made available when we send out the mid-year incentive. We are going to be reviewing how you have reimbursed for the first 6 months of the year. And if it is over 50% of your original allocation, then that makes you automatically eligible to receive additional HSE funding if you need it for the remainder of the year. And we will survey our providers to determine what that need is and how we can help you with that funding. Please remember that these are state funds that we will lose at the end of the program year if we don't use them. So we want to make sure they get to where they're needed to help our students get the services they need. Next up is Laura Pastore. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Let's jump right into NRS entry level review. So multiple programs have been talking to me about shifts they think they're seeing and the level students are entering in their programs. So I want to take a quick moment to review where we are as a state on student entry level across multiple years. So you can see in this chart that this provides 6 years of information of where students have entered ABE level 1 all the way through ABE level 6. So while we can see some shifts between program years, and some of that attributable to the pandemic enrollment changes, overall, it's fairly consistent when we look at levels across years. Next slide, please. So when we just look at program year 22-23 and the current year, we can see a very slight shift occurred between ABE levels 1 and 3. And so there are a few more people at ABE level 1 in program year to date versus a few less people in ABE level 3. Now, while this is an overview from the state level, I would strongly encourage you to run your table 4, look at the numbers in each of the NRS levels, convert that to a percentage, and see if you can determine any shifts in your program, if this is a concern or has been coming up with your staff. You then have this information at the state level as a benchmark to show where you might have some differences. And if you need any assistance getting that calculation together, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. Next slide, please. So for many programs, there have been a lot of questions as to, given the shift with ELL students, what does that mean for my HSE? And just better understanding why students are coming to adult education. To help answer that question, we introduced 2 new data capture points and enters in June, but actually starting July 1st of 2023. Those 2 new data points were short-term goals, and that is outcome-based. The first outcome they would look to earn when they enter the program, and short-term goals encompass what a student would earn while they're in the program, and then long-term goals, which is really more at the student level, what they're hoping to gain from enrolling and achieving their goals in adult education. Next slide, please. When we review the short-term goal, this is very helpful from a state level in seeing what the immediate goal would be for students entering adult education. As we can see from this chart, with our increase in ELL enrollment, 43% of the first goal, or the short-term goal, would be to achieve a TABE Class E gain. The next is almost a third of the students. The first goal is to earn an HSE diploma by taking the exams. Then we jump to a TABE gain, which is 12%. Now, generally that leads to either a high school equivalency diploma or entry into an occupational certification. Next, at 10%, the immediate goal is a certification. And then at 3%, we see the WEI workforce skills progression. Now, I think that percentage is a little bit suppressed because in the WEI program, a student could be working towards a TABE gain or an occupational certification as well. So that's a little bit muddy. But overall, this really helps us at the state level gauge why students are entering and what that first goal or outcome might be. Once again, you can run this at the, we'll be sending this out to the programs for each program to look at their data. And this is a great benchmark at the state level, but it can shift dramatically at the program level depending on program demographics. Next slide, please. So for long-term goal, it was a little bit more complicated. And this is really coming down to why students are coming into programs and where they hope to go with the achievements they earn in the programs. We tried to compile a very long list encompassing all the reasons a student might be working towards an outcome in adult basic education. So you can see, very long list here. Most of these are going to apply to employment, career advancement, entering employment, retaining employment, but obviously there are some other reasons students would join as well. At the very bottom of the list, you can see personal and other. And personal was really meant to encompass some of those students who didn't fit into any other category. However, in hindsight, I now realize that maybe personal was too broad of a category because personal could apply to almost every reason a student would want to reach any of the long-term goals above. So we will probably be readjusting and using different options as opposed to personal or other. And let's jump to the next slide. So for some programs, they were able to use this information to gain valuable insight into their students' short and long-term goals. And this is data from a program. I'm not using their name, but it is actual data from a program. And you can see in the short term, this is a primarily ELL-based program. So the Class E gain was the #1 short-term goal. Then we have HSE and TABE gain. With the long-term goals to the side, you can see the majority of their goals are related to employment, which tracks with national research that we know as to why ELL students enter adult education. So the really cool part, next slide, is when we combine those two, because we can. So we can look at the students whose short-term goal is an HSE diploma, whose short-term goal is a Class E gain, or short-term TABE E gain, or TABE regular gain. So you can see overall, combining the employment pieces, career advancement, enter employment, and retain employment, by far, that is the overriding reason that long-term students are entering the adult basic education program. And once again, I'm going to be able to pull this for every program, and we'll be sharing this in our regional meetings. Let's go to the next slide. Here's an example of a different program that has a little bit more of a typical or balanced student population. So still TABE Class E gain is #1, then HSE diploma certification. There's a much higher number of students entering for certifications, and then WEI. So they have goals in multiple areas. Now you can see the long-term goal off to the right. Let's go to the next slide. And when we combine it for this program, you can see once again, the 3 types of employment goals are the overriding factors in why students are entering adult education. You've got college for that HSE diploma, you've got CERT training for that Class E gain, and then you've got, obviously employment for that certification. Let's jump to the next slide, please. So we are once again in the check and adjust phase of doing the long-term goals because we want them to be We want them to be connected to why people are coming to programs, but also we have to remember that, you know, personal may apply to a lot of different areas, but we are the Department of Workforce Development, not the Department of Personal Development. So we want to be thoughtful in how we're directing and guiding our students when they are filling out this type of information. I know some programs were having the students fill it out, and now they're going to work on having the teachers put it as part of the ALP, the Adult Learning Plan, which makes a lot of sense so that they could do it in conjunction with a staff member, whether it's a life coach, orientation coordinator, or a teacher. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for putting that information in. I wanted to provide real world examples on how that data can be used to tell the story of your programs and your students. And just know that we will be working towards providing this all out to the field on a program level in regional meetings, and we will be using feedback to adjust those selections. So that is all I have today. I'm going to pass it on to Camelia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. All right. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you today. I'm going to go ahead and jump in. So I wanted to share our current student data that starts in July of 2023 and is current to date. So you can get a sense of where our adult learners are located. As you can see, this shows student population density for all our programs, ABE and ELL across the regions. You can see obviously, Region 5 and 12 have a high density of students, as well as Region 3. So just so you can get a sense of what our current breakdown of students at a state level is in terms of program enrollment, a little under 50% of our students come in, and this is based on testing. So they're coming in and testing as ABE students, and then about 40% of our students come in and take TABE Class E, and we can also see our corrections students in here as well, which makes up about 12% of our current enrollments to date for this program year. Next up, I'd also like to take a moment to share the breakdown of our student enrollment by county. Marion County, which should be unsurprising to all of us, has over a quarter of our student enrollment as a state. And after that, we see Allen County holds about 6% of our students. And from there, within the top 10 most populous counties for adult learners, the percentages drop off pretty steeply down to between 1 to 3% for many of our less populous counties. And we'll be able to, throughout the next month, look at this on a regional level and get a better sense for what your specific counties in your region look like. Next up, yesterday was our final grant competition town hall. Thank you to those of you who have attended in person, and for those of you who attended virtually yesterday. This recording will be made available and posted on our website, so keep an eye out in your email for that if you were unable to attend, or I did hear some reports of difficulties entering the meeting yesterday, so I apologize if that happened to you, and keep an eye out for when the recording is posted. Finally, congratulations to CWI for this month's Outreach Superstar of the Month. Samantha Smith is a new director there and has been doing an awesome job and has a lot of really exciting ideas for promoting their program. One thing that I'm excited to share with you all that Samantha's working on is that over the holidays, their program is doing a distance learning incentive and encouraging students to keep up with their studies and promoting distance learning with a gift card giveaway. Samantha's also working on starting a newsletter and has a long-term plan for marketing in the works. So great job and keep up the great work. I'm going to hand things over to Roy.
Thank you, Camelia. Next slide, please. All right. So I have sent out reports to some of the providers, and I will be sending out more this week. Please use the IT reports to check your enrollments and certifications for each course. Also, use the report to verify all your courses with enrollments are shown. As Matt has explained previously, you mark the students as completed if they have finished the curriculum or coursework. Once they have their certifications, you update the certification information as well. Next slide, please. On the WEI report, be sure to verify all your courses with enrollments are present and verify the number of enrollments as well. For WEIs where the progress milestone is being used, be sure to mark those students as completed where applicable and indicate the date when the progress milestone was achieved. Next slide, please. Once you have updated your students with progress milestone measurable skill gains, you can verify by running your table 4 by courses. Once you have done that, use column G to verify your number of gains. Next slide, please. Congratulations to our programs who are participating in the Advanced IET Design Camp. Indiana will be participating in the 3rd cohort starting in mid-February of 2024. I look forward to participating with the selected adult ed providers. Next slide, please. And finally, as we wrap up this calendar year, I know providers have been doing outreach and attending meetings to increase the footprint of adult education. Hopefully attending meetings such as the One Stop Partner meetings, Workforce Development Board, Chamber of Commerce meetings, and other community meetings attending those meetings are starting to bear some fruit. While you are doing outreach to employers and speaking with your one-stop business service reps, please keep in mind we still have funds available to support your WEI with a new employer. The one-page document is on the website shown on this slide. And thank you, and please have a happy holiday.
Thank you very much, Roy. Moving on, Nikki Noting is our new, as many of you know, our new Director of Strategic Partnerships. She comes to us from McDowell Adult Education in Columbus after a 20-year run. Welcome, Nikki. And I know you would like to introduce yourself to everyone. There are some folks, believe it or not, that may not know Nikki. And so, Nikki, introduce yourself.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and hello from the other side. This is my 1-month anniversary at DWD, and I settled in with all my weird magnets behind me, and I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm already learning so much. For those of you who don't know me, as Jerry said, I was previously at McDowell for 20 years in many different capacities, the last 17 being the adult ed coordinator. So I've really been enjoying attending your regional webinars this past month. I'm excited about all the great projects going around the state. There's so many innovative things happening. I was also going to give a shout out to Samantha Smith at CWI for that distance learning challenge contest, but Camellia beat me to it. But that is a great practice. I'm also working on a couple projects. There's a really informative article, as you know, Roy said, talking about WEIs. It's called Beyond the First Meeting. It covers all the bases on how to recruit and engage employers for WI programs. It is, however, 34 pages long, so I've taken the best practices and condensed them into a 2-pager. As soon as I finish that draft, I will get that out to you. There will also be a link to the full article should you choose to read it in the next newsletter. In the coming months, I hope to be able to come visit your programs and get to know you and your programs better. Keep up the good work. I have no next slide.
Thank you, Nikki, and welcome aboard. Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. Next slide, please. Just a reminder of the Professional Development Facilitator schedule. The next PDF meeting is January 26th of 2024, and it will be at 10 a.m. and virtually as well. I will send out a reminder link a few days before the 26th, so it's not buried in an email from this summer when the original invite went out. Next slide, please. A reminder as well on the program development quarterly reports. The initial report was due November 3rd, and the next report is due March 24th. Please, as you begin working on that, think about which success story you would like to include with your quarterly report that is due March 1st of 2024. And then the final reflections is a shorter report, an overview of the whole year, and then a reflection on what you plan to change for the following
program year. That is due May 31st of 2024. Those reports come to me, please. And for the final reflections, there will also be a success story with that report as well. Next slide, please. The Dollar General Literacy Grant applications open in January of 2024. You could go ahead to get onto their website and start looking around and seeing what previous applicants look like, what they applied for, what they plan to use those dollars for. Several programs over the last couple of years have received Dollar General funds to include everything from buying new laptops or desktops for their students to bolstering staff salaries to employ quality teachers. So that the doors are fairly open on what Dollar General considers applicable for adult learning or literacy. So please get on their website and kind of do some searching and see what your program might need that might fall under their umbrella of grant requests. Next slide, please. And excuse me, again, a few highlights from the November 3rd Program Development Quarterly Report. Next slide, please. Grant Regional Adult Education. Their HSE and paraprofessional students are able to sign out laptop computers from the program in order to complete distance learning. As we all know, distance learning is an essential part for adult learners to continue that learning process, that big gaps in time accessing their whatever content they're working on creates a lot of review that needs to happen. And so enabling students to have opportunities to do that distance learning that they might not be able to complete if they didn't have their own laptop. Good job to Grant Regional for providing opportunities for their students to do that distance learning. Next slide, please. Jennings County is using incentives in the form of fast food gift cards to help their students celebrate when they make a measurable skills gain. As we all see, kind of as we progress forward into the future, incentives are kind of the way of the future. They are becoming more and more essential to helping our students who need that extra motivation to continue once they have enrolled in our programs. So thank you, Jennings, for providing an extra incentive to keep them on their path to success. Next slide, please. Lafayette Adult Resource Academy, also known as LARA, or LARA, depending on where you live in the state. They have joined the local chambers and are engaging in activities that put them in direct contact with their local industries to discover exactly what is the in-demand and needed employment opportunities in their communities. So good job on that, Lafayette. Next slide, please. Monroe County Adult Education is presenting during their public school conferences to the administrators, counselors, and teachers on what the GED looks like and allowing them a chance to get a feel for it before recommending those 16 and 17-year-old students to the adult ed program. As we all know, that 16 and 17-year-old, they have some challenges of maturity level and maybe they're bringing some learning disabilities with them. And so we want to make sure that we are the correct place for those young learners that are entering our program. So good job, Monroe County. Next slide, please. And Muncie. Muncie is working with their local Refugee Alliance to establish consistent transportation plans utilizing the current resources available in the community, such as city buses and carpools, to ensure that their learners can participate in new trainings. The Refugee Alliance is also partnering with Muncie to be able to connect them with a translator that will be embedded in their new trainings to ensure that essential messages are clearly communicated and understood so that the students that are participating in those trainings, that English is not their first language. They want to ensure that the important information of when class takes place, where class takes place, any changes in the class, and any resources that they need are available to them not only in their language they are learning, such as English, but also in their native language to make sure that they understand those essential pieces of information. Next slide, please. And lastly, the January 26, 2024 Professional Development Facilitator meeting will be at 10 a.m. and virtually. And thank you all for joining us today, and happy holidays.
Thank you very much, Amy. Very, very good report. Love hearing about what the other programs are doing. Megan obviously is here this morning, and I bet Megan's going to talk about HSE testing. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. Next slide, please. So just a couple reminders about the exit interview form. You must be under the age of 18, 16, or 17. What is an exit is someone who is no longer enrolled in K through 12. A withdrawal is any student that is enrolled in one school can enroll in another. The exit interview form must be also included for homeschool students. And please start sending me the exit interview forms. There's been some questions about superintendent's form or superintendent signatures. So I would like to make for sure that everybody is on the same page with those. Next slide, please. Couple other reminders about the superintendent recommendation. We were asked to update the form a couple weeks back. So you should have received a new superintendent form. If you had a superintendent signature on the exit interview form, you do not need to have the superintendent recommendation. But if you do not have the superintendent signature on the exit interview form, then we must have a superintendent recommendation form. Please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Next slide, please. Out-of-state examinees. If you have another student who tested in another state, he or she must contact GED and have the jurisdiction changed to Indiana. If an individual tested with HiSET, a test administrator must submit a Zendesk form and ask for the individual jurisdiction to be changed to Indiana. If an individual was incarcerated in another state, send me an email and I will contact that state and see if we can get the appropriate information. Once a student tests in Indiana, Diploma Center will have his or her records. Indiana does not own the records until the student tests here in the state of Indiana. So I will not be able to see anybody that tests anywhere else outside the state of Indiana. Next slide, please. Merging records. Task will have one record of an individual. If the same individual tests with HiSET, that will create one record in Diploma Center. And if an individual tests with GED, this creates another record in Diploma Center. So an individual could potentially have 3 different records. These records must be merged in Diploma Center's database because each vendor is separate and vendors cannot access other vendors' information. If someone's changed their name, there will also be 2 records that will need to be combined in Diploma Center as well. Please send me the name and the tester IDs and I will merge these records on your behalf. Next slide, please. Looking up students' records. If you need a student's record in Diploma Center and you need me to look it up for you, please send me the name, the tester ID, or the Diploma Center ID. Please do not send me screenshots of scores. It's very hard to read, and if there is an SSN on the screenshot that you sent, we are not allowed to reply to anyone with an SSN in the email. So please just email me the name or the tester ID and I will be able to clarify any information that you are needing. Next slide, please. Okay, there's going to be some price increases for HiSET starting January 2024. The computer-based test will increase to $15. So it'll be the same price as the paper-based testing. So HiSET will receive $75 for the computer and the paper-based testing. There are still 2 free retakes that are in effect, and testing centers may charge $24 per retake. Beginning March 1st, 2024, test centers may charge $144 for HSE testing. And the maximum charge for HiSET test retakes is going to be $28.80. Testing centers will have a profit of $69 on the entire battery for HiSET. Next slide, please. There is no testing on December the 10th and December the 23rd or 21st, excuse me, 21st. There's going to be another day in December where there is going to be no computer testing. That is because PSI says they're updating their browser. So we don't know when that date is yet. There is no testing on January 1st through the 4th, so you will not be able to schedule anybody on the 1st and 2nd of January. For a paper-based test, there will be 7 boxes to complete instead of 9, which should be less confusing, but the verbiage should still remain the same. All 2023 tests must be returned by January 31st of 2024. When you have received a 2024 test, there are instructions on how to return the 2023 tests. If you do not receive the directions, please email me and I will see what I can figure out for you. Next slide, please. The price of the GED test. On March 1st, that will increase from $30 to $36. There is going to be a voucher for anyone who's already purchased the $30 vouchers. There will be a voucher for $6 that could be purchased to help make up the difference. The price for the entire battery will be $144. Test centers may charge up to $144 for HSE testing starting March 1st, 2024. GED test centers profits will be taking the entire battery is still $40 plus a $10 in test compensation, test center compensation, and then test centers will pay GED $104 instead of the $80. GED online proctoring remains the same at $36 per subtest. Next slide, please. More GED updates. July 1st, GED will only have 1 discounted retake instead of 2. So on the 3rd attempt, an individual must pay the full price of $36. An individual will have 3 attempts in the first month of testing, but will have to wait 60 days in between testing. And I have the list before for you for, as an example, up to 6 attempts. Next slide, please. Overall GED analytics summary. So from January 1st, 2023 to December 4th, 2023, we've had 800 test takers, 2,687 tests given a GED. We had given out 3,327 of the GED readiness test. We've had 24% on the GED score ready scores, and 8% were college ready or potential credit. For the number of people who passed one subject was 137. For the number of people who passed 2 tests the first time was 65. Number of people who passed 3 tests the first time was 89. And number of people passed for all 4 tests for the first time was 392. So all first-time passers for all content was 323. Next slide, please. Here is the GED data for math. Again, we've had 800 test takers. 2,687 tests were given. First-time passers for math was 410. Tests given was 677. And the amount of GED tests given readiness test given, which is the practice test, was 928. Below passing was 21%. Passed is 79%. National average is 75%. And college ready is 9. And college ready and potential credit is 4%. Next slide, please. GED readiness test, practice test. There was 928 given for math. There was 71% scored likely to pass. 21% was too close to call, and 8% was not likely to pass. The average scores for passing was 156. The average score of not passing was 139. The overall average score was 150. And the GED ready overall average score was 151. Next slide, please. Here is the GED data for the language arts test. Again, we've had 800 test takers. 2,687 tests were given. The first time passers was 519. Tests given was 694. The GED readiness tests that were given was 924. Below passing was 14%. Passed is 86%. The national average is 82%. And the college ready is 14%. And college ready and potential credit is 3%. Next slide, please. Here is the data for the language arts test for the GED readiness test. 924 tests were given. 77 were likely to pass. 15% were too close to call, and 8% was not likely to pass. The average passing score was 158. The average of not passing was 139. The GED test overall average is 153, and a GED overall average score, ready score, was 152. Next slide, please. GED science. Again, we've had 800 testers. 2,687 tests were given. We've had first-time passers of 501. Tests given in science was 635. GED ready test given was 743. Below passing was 9%. Passed was 91%. National average was 88%. College ready was 16. And again, college ready and potential credit was 2%. Next slide, please. Then here is the data for the GED ready for the science test. We've given out 743 practice tests for science. 81% were likely to pass. 16 were too close to call. 4% was not likely to pass. The average passing score was 158. The average of not passing was 139. And the GED test overall average score was 155. And the GED ready overall score average was a 154. Next slide, please. And here is the data for the social studies test. Again, we had 800 testers. 2,687 tests were given in GED. First time passers was 509. Tests given was 681 in social studies. GED race tests were given as 732. Below passing was 13%. Passed was 87%. The national average is 84%. And the college ready is 13%. And the college ready and potential credit is 7%. Next slide, please. For the social studies readiness test, or also known as a practice test, we have given out 732. 82% were likely to change. 13% were too close to call. 5 was not likely to pass. The average passing score is 158. The average of not passing is 139. GED test overall average score is 154. And then GED overall average score is a 153. Next slide, please. We will be having a high school equivalency meeting for all test administrators in January. More to come on the date. And I will also be sending out the agenda once I have that completed. But please let me know if you have any other questions and concerns in the meantime. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone, and hope everybody has a happy new year and a good break. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Megan. We are now going to move on to Matt and Anshu. Welcome, lady and gentlemen.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everybody. Happy holidays. It's festive here. I have the festive lights going on. So I have one quick update for inters, and then Anshu's got some reminder stuff. We created a brand new report. It is under the local tab. So you go to reports, local, and it is a student contact list. We had a question. Somebody wanted to get some student contacts, but they are actually doing the data correctly and filling out the cell phone number in the cell phone spot and leaving the hardline phone number blank, so they couldn't export from the student view. So we created a student contact list that has their home number, cell phone, and I believe it's got the emergency contact on it. So you can find that if you want to contact your students. And then you still have the option of emailing straight from Inters by clicking on the student, right-clicking on the student views, and email the student directly. We are going to look at making an emergency contact list to send out if you're going to be closed or things like that, or weather delays, or you have a teacher out, an ability to send a mass text message or email straight from the system to the students that are affected by that. That's down the road and in the future. And that's all I have. And Anshu, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here again with some more tips on inters. First one is the soft exit date. We often get the request to delete the student record as the student has left the program. We do not delete any record, but the system automatically exits if a student has been out for more than 90 days. Now, if that student comes back to the program, he or she will be treated as a new student and should be given a new program record, new update, and attendance, and pre-test within first 12 hours of instructions. Next slide, please. Next one is about the test error. Post same form too early, which means you tested the student on the same test before completing 60 hours of instructions. And the fix is switch the test from tape 11 to tape 12, or override the error giving the valid reason why you didn't instruct the student for 60 hours. Lastly, make sure that all your data in Inters is up to date and error-free by December 31st for the mid-year incentive. Hope these tips help. That's all from my side. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Matt and Anshu. Well, finally, last but not least, Jen with IAACE. Hello, Jen.
Hello, Jerry. Hello, all. It's slow, but my camera eventually come on, I'm sure. Wanted to remind everyone of the Craig Boykin Lunch and Learn virtual event. He was unable to be at conference, so he's combining the two sessions that he was going to do there. You are welcome to invite your students to attend. If you want to have a big get together in one room and display it, that works too. He's hoping to have a variety of different positions, including adult learners, and he will provide some time for Q&A. So if you'd like to attend, then there is a registration link, and I just threw it all again in chat. Apologies for Amy, got a little jumpy, that chat thing, it just went on. Next slide, please. We have officially hired our lobbyist. Joe Loftus is returning again for the IAACE lobbyist. He is from Barnes and Thornburg. You can find out all the information about him, and also you can tell us any focus that you would like for the advocacy committee. You can join the movement to get your information on the website and be a part of all of the advocacy news. That link is in the chat. And then I want to remind everyone, if you're having a mid-year graduation ceremony or any type of special event like that, this is a great time to invite your legislators, any elected officials, maybe even someone that might be running in 2024 would be a good person to invite as well. And I would love if you would invite us. I know that we can't attend all events, but if we can, we'll try to get a board member there or some type of representation from IAACE. But the great thing about if you invite us, then we're going to put it on our calendar so that everyone can share graduation dates across the state and for a true collaboration on that. Next slide. Over 50 essays were submitted. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel sorry for the judges, but no, I'm serious. The process for weeding through the essays to get it down to those top 3 and top 10 will begin soon. Thank you so much for having your students tell their story. We look forward to sharing and all of that information at, next slide please, the Adult Education Day. We have extended the business partner recognition. There wasn't quite enough in there to make the selection, so please submit your business partner recognitions. We have extended the deadline to January 12th. That's a Friday. The form, I threw the form link in the chat as well. The paragraph can be short and sweet, and it's just a matter of contacting your business and asking them if they would like to be a part of this recognition, having them save the date for the event so that you can ensure they can be there. And if you need any help with that, please reach out to us, Rob or I. If we can't do it, then we'll get you with a board member to help you out with that. So next slide, please. Save the date for the annual meeting. Why do you want to save the date? Because it will be the unveiling of the strategic plan. Yes, the board retreat went extremely well. They had great success in working out some fantastic stuff for IAACE. We will be rolling different stuff out starting next year, but the grand unveiling will be 2024. Annual meeting Friday, May 3rd. Can't get my dates out correctly. So save the date. You can visit that link, and that will be eventually where you will register to attend as well. I'm not sure if I put that link in there, but I will before the end of the day. Next slide. Yes, that is everything. Just a reminder, the blog comes out today on the sharing. Oh gosh, I'm like, forgot the wording of already. Sparkling connections, shared minds, sharing resources to brighten the holidays. That rollout was last week. It is actually a little part of the strategic plan. We had the idea prior, and then we elaborated it on within the strategic plan. We're hoping to provide all the resources for a shared united force for Indiana adult education. So check out the blog today. The newsletter comes out next week. There's community chats where you can all get together and chat about a topic that's important to you. And all of that information is on the calendar of events link. So happy holidays to everyone. May you celebrate with friends, family, or however you choose in the most special way. Happy holidays to you, Jerry. And all
Thank
the
you.
DWP too.
Thank you, and same to you and to your family, Jen, and IAACE. Well, thank you for joining us today. The next Adult Education and Workforce Development statewide wide webinar will be January 10th, 2024. That should be 2024, not 2023. Hard to believe. We need to flip a year from 10 to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Please join us in 2024 on January 10th. Matt, do we have any questions? I think most of the questions have been answered in the chat.
Yeah, however, we're going to go ahead and ask them again, Jerry, because they don't show up on the video and other people may not be able to have access to the chat. So we're going to go ahead and ask them. This one's for Roy, and it's from Rob. Roy, if an adult education program wants to attend the IET design camp with you in February, what does the program need to do? Send you an email? Question mark.
Somebody's not giving it. Oh. Yes, Matt, it's too late. We already submitted it to AIM for that.
Okay, so they cannot register anymore. If they did not do it, they're out of luck. Okay, thank you, sir. And then this is from Todd. Hi, Nikki. Glad she didn't come from Washington Township. I mean, Todd, you got the laughs. You got the laughs, Todd. Good job.
Are we saying that Todd didn't want to have to replace another employee?
Well, you know, I'm guessing that's what he didn't want to have to do. All right, Megan, come back on screen. I know you answered all these, but we're going to ask so that everyone gets the question and the answer. All right, this is from Jamie Hallsapple. Oh, my goodness, words, Matt. Megan, I am sorry to ask, but would it be possible for you to email the price changes and when they go into effect?
Yes, I will send all those out to
Okay.
everybody.
This is from Angie Refo. She's got 2. Is there any way that test center administrators can see test results for GED through Diploma Sender? We like to keep record of exam scores so that we can help them reschedule if they don't. Pass
Yes,
something.
they can. They would have to add their GED test center number to their test center administration. If they need help with that or if they cannot do it, let me know and I can do it on my end.
Okay. And then, are you sure there is no HiSET testing on December 21st? That is a Thursday, and I have scheduled examinees for that day already, and the system did not allow me to. That is correct. I saw your response. No, that is a blacked out date.
Yep.
All right, and this is from Elizabeth Parsons. Do we forward new exit interview forms starting now, or do we forward all of the ones we have received this program year?
From basically starting now. Just start forwarding to me now as you're getting them signed. That way I can double check with them. The exit recommendation, the exit interview form itself is not changing, only the superintendent form. We were asked to update that. So that to clarify, so just from now on to start sending me the exit interview form as you're getting your students signed up.
All right. I don't know if we've got any more for you, so hang on. But this one's for Donna. Donna, can you please share the process for asking for additional HSE funds? Thanks.
Okay. I'm going to review everybody's spending up through the end of this calendar year for the first 6 months of the program year. And then I will reach out to people who have spent 50% or more of their HSE funding. I'll probably also check those who are close to doing that and see if anyone needs additional funding. So you don't need to send that in to us. I will be reaching out to you to find out what your needs are for the next 6 months of the program year.
And hang on, Donna, you got one more. What's the deadline for the wait list since January 1st is a holiday? And you can thank Rob for that question.
Yes, just as close to the beginning of the month as you can. If it falls on a holiday or the weekend, just send it to the next available date so that we have that previous month's numbers.
And that's all I have. Anybody else got any more questions of the state staff or our special guests? Going once, going twice. Happy holidays to everybody. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.